Okay, so we're going to continue to build this out, and it's starting to come together, looking really cool, I think. So I'm going to actually put a cylinder within this section here. I just think that would look really cool. So how do we go about doing something like that? So I'm going to go to the side here. I'm also going to go into the actual polygon mode and see what we got. So I like to take some of this section here and kind of just remodel it. So here I'm going to select some of these sections here and deselect this one here and select the other three here. I'm going to copy this for I can use this later for glass material. So this is real easy to cut this out, and we're going to do a Shift D and we're going to move this out of the way just for now. So we need to first go over to mesh and then separate out the actual selection. And now it's become its own object. And now we can actually put this off to the side or hide it. So we can use it for later. Okay. Okay, now we got it selected. We're going to go in and actually thicken this. So we're going to go to edit mode, make sure we select all the faces here, and we're going to extrude this. So simple with the along normals, and we can push this inward. Or I could go outwards, whichever way we want. We go inwards, right about there. And we're just going to add a little bit more detail to this so we can actually have a really nice, controlled surface. But now you see it's all red. We're going to make sure we actually flip the normals here so it will work out properly later. So again, I'm going to select it and fix it within the mesh, normals, and flip. Now we have it the right direction. Perfect. Okay, let's add some more actual lines here to control this. All right, so we're going to now select the loop cut so we can actually do a quick cut into this. So we're going to bring that down, or bring this one up actually, and the second one we'll bring down. So that one's done. Again, loop cut, select it. You don't have to select these, but anyway, select the loop cut and bring this down. There we go. And we'll do the same thing on the sides. Go to the X. So again, loop cut. Again, we don't have to select these, but go ahead and move it over into this place right here. There we go. About there. And then one on the side. The polygons. Don't need to do this though, just so you know. And we're going to go loop cut again, and we'll bring this in just like that. All right, cool. So we're getting closer. All right, we're going to do the same thing on the top. We're actually going to bring in two of these. So we're going to roll the mouse and just create two. So it's basically got all the way around, and there we go. So we got a lot more detail now in the form, and that'll look really nice once I actually do a subdivision on this surface. Okay, cool. All right, let's continue. All right, so I thought I'd re-record this section here because it just seemed a little complicated when I was recording it. And I just thought this would be much more, helpful to everybody to learn how to kind of, take out a section, re-add a cylinder into this space. And I'm going to show you quickly how to do that real easily. Now, the thing is with this object, we actually created it with so many actual sections, not a lot. I mean, we had I think 12 total to make this rounded area. However, when you're adding another 12 section with a disk in here and recombining it to this, it's just not as clean as it really could be. So we're going to do a little bit of a change with that. We're going to add in some more detail, basically a double of what we had originally, and we're going to modify that as we go. That way we just have a much cleaner cut section in here. So it's a little complicated because you're going from 12 to 24, and it's definitely going to be challenging. So it's a very good learning process. So let's get going. So we're going to go to the top here. I'm going to zoom in, and then we're going to create a disk. So it's as simple as that. We're going to go back to object mode. We're going to add a separate disk. So this way it's kind of a separate item from the other one. And again, it's really way too big. So we're going to bring this over to here. First of all, let's scale it down. So take the radius down quite a bit. Something like that, maybe there. And I'm going to, it's about, I 0.27 meters. And we got 12 here, but I'm going to change this to 24, make it much cleaner. I'm going to also take the location and on the Y and just bring this upward. And you see, if we kind of center it off of this thing, it's a little bit bigger. So we want to kind of just dial this down a little bit so it's real close to, this. See how it's kind of similar all the way around? I want to scale this down a little bit more. So we're going to go in to about, we'll go with like 25 or 24. Let's just see, 25. And we can tab it. And there we go. I think that's perfect, that size there. And we can now go to the side here. As you see, it's way too big. We can take this depth down quite a bit. And we can also raise it on the Z. I'm trying to get this into the space, and it needs to be within this. So let's go ahead and go to the side and see what we're doing here. Again, we're going to scale down the depth again. It's way too big. So about there. We're going to bring this up on the Z. So I would say something like that is pretty close to the edges. Might make it a little bit higher. We'll go with like 0.83 meters. And yeah, that looks good. So we can now left click and accept it. Now this is a separate object from this one, right? So we kind of want to hide this one for now. So we can kind of just go through this. Okay, so a couple things we need to do here is we need to create a inner section. We need to also create an area to cut. And I'm going to just get rid of these pieces on the top and bottom. So let's go ahead and edit mode. Take this one and this one. I mean, we can go in now and do this now, but I think it's easier to wait on this. So let's just delete these two faces. And now we've gotten this. We can go to the side here. And we kind of need to select these sections here. First of all, what we need to do, though, is we need to create some type of, edges to help us with that control. So we're going to use the loop cut here. And automatically, we could just bring it up. I'm going to go about here and then about here. So about the same height, top and bottom. Cool. And then I'm going to go into here and select the actual faces. We're going to select half of these. Again, when you're doing this selection thing, you got to make sure you're in see-through mode because otherwise you won't get everything you need. So let's do this again. So now we got all sides, right? And simple as that. Let's just go back now and now add in the inset. We're going to go to the side and we're going to pull this in. So again, something like about halfway, half of that square. And we can left click now. And I'm going to take this off of this mode so we can see a little bit better. There we go. I'm going to make it more wider so it's easier to see. Bring this up. Okay, so we got our sections now. The thing is we need to keep this area here to control. We're going to select everything but this edge. We're going to hit delete key and delete face. Okay. So now that we've done that, we can simply, go in, select this whole thing, and now we can use the actual, right here, we can go extrude along normals, and we can kind of just bring this in, and that will create our inner piece. Just like that, real simple, right? We have our inner, we have our outer, we have our edge inside this. This is what's important, is these edges to help control this. We also need to add some more control here. So keep that in mind. We definitely we don't want to add anything else to these edges here because it'll cause problems when we're trying to render it. It'll have like deformations because it won't be exactly rounded as it is now. So we can do more stuff on the side though. So it's real simple. We're going to add in a loop. We're going to bring this up to about the same distance as what we have on the top and same on the bottom. Just like that. All right, cool. Now we can actually get out of there, select this. And one thing we want to make sure is we could take this off, see what we're doing. I have this so I can see if it's on face detection, okay? That's important to know. If this is not right, and it's this way, and then you actually have this object here, and it's the opposite, right? You're going to have all kinds of problems. The inside is red. That's what you want. The outside is not. This is wrong. So when I actually use the extrude key, it causes it to go the opposite way. So just keep that in mind. If you don't fix it now, you've got all kinds of problems with your polygons. So now that we've gotten this, let's go ahead and flip it. So mesh, normals, flip. There we go. Now it's exactly the same as the other piece. All right. So let's go back to this here. Select all. Actually, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to hide this one for now. And we can leave this alone. Okay, cool. So we got this covered now. One thing we're going to need to do is we are not going to use this whole thing. We got to take this top piece here and kind of just get rid of it. All right, so let's use the Alt key on the top and also on the bottom with Shift Alt. And we'll select all these, and now we're going to delete those. And that will make it nice and clean and easy to work with at this point. All right, so those are deleted now. Only the inner side section is the only thing connected. And that's perfect. Okay, let's continue. All right, so another thing we need to do is we need to get rid of this outer stuff because we're not going to need this when we reconnect everything. So we can just go ahead and select all these outer pieces. Just keep going with it until we get them all selected. I'm going to select every one of these just like this. Okay. Okay, so I got all these selected. Make sure nothing's wrong. All the way around, basically from that edge on both sides, right? So we still have our control. And let's delete those faces. There we go. And this is all in the right direction. Perfect. Okay, so let's go ahead now and hide this section here. And the main thing here is to get rid of this section here. So we need to go back to this object mode, go to edit mode here, and we need to kind of just delete this section right here. We're going to take this one off. Actually, we're going to go back to see-through mode again like we were doing before. Always good to do this so we can see what we're doing. And just take these off right here. So those are selected. We can now delete this. The only thing is I really want this to be a little bit higher. All right, we can go in here and take a look at this. We need to turn this off, number one. Okay. The other thing is we need to do is we need to add a little bit more detail. So let's just go ahead and do this again. We're going to use this. We're going to put one down the center. We're going to bring one here and bring this up just a little bit about there. And we're going to bring this one down right about here. This way we have a place to connect these together. I do need one about here, kind of like where the edge is, and one about here where the edge is. Because we're going to have these 3 points, 3 points. Yeah, it's very important to have that. Okay, so we can go in and deselect, and let's just see what this looks like now when I actually hit this again. And if I go back to object mode, make sure everything looks good still. We can take this off. Just whatever changes we do, we got to make sure it doesn't affect the form. So we got to be careful of the form. So that's still very clean. And yeah, I'm good with that. So let's go back to the right side with this X. We're going to go to edit mode now, and we're going to start clearing out some of this stuff. So we got this selected now. I'm going to take these right here and delete them. The other thing we need to do first of all, though, is make sure we have it in polygon, and we're going to see through. So this way we can go in and kind of just see what we're doing. I kind of need to make sure that we do something like this, something like that. I need the bottom here. I think we'll even go with a little bit farther, like this. So we can do that real easy with a loop cut. So I'm going to do one here and We're going to go back, do it again. Same thing here. There we go. And hit enter. So again, let's go back to selection. So selection, and we can go back to this subdivision, go back to the object mode, take this off, and see again how this is looking. Yeah, I mean, I do have my form still. I don't have any issues really. We have a little bit, I think it's fine. We could double check it by just adding in a mat cap or something like that, and see, what that effect that we just did. I mean, it did put a little bit of crease right there, right? So seems to be only on that one side. And I'm going to be cleaning this up anyway, so I'm okay with that. I'm going to get rid of this half and redo it anyway. Yeah, just got to verify everything before you go too far with it. Okay, so I'm good with this for now. Let's go back to options. Let's go back here and change it back to studio. Yeah, I think this one's fine. Okay, so let's go back to edit mode now. We're going to go to the side with the X. And again, we're going to select these sections here. Polygons first and see-through. Got to make sure we do those things. Otherwise, it won't select properly. So let's do this, these we could deselect. Make sure I got them all, because I could tell that something's not right here. Okay, so let's do this again. For some reason, all right, it's fine. Let's just go ahead and take this off again. And we're going to do Control key. Make sure these are deselected. This one's selected, this one's selected. Okay, so we got all those selected now. And yeah, we can delete this now. So let's hit delete faces, and there we go. A good way to also do this while you're going through all this, understanding, we could just hide this for right now and take that off so it's not on subdivision. The other thing that we need to do is we really need to have a much better, cleaner option here. See how this is like good, but this is a lot shorter, because when I cut this side did not take the cut for some reason. Or it did, but it actually creased right here or something. So let's see what we got here. I got 2 polys. Let's see, how many edges do we have there? Just want to make sure whatever we do, we don't make any really crazy mistakes. Okay, so another thing we got to do for this is I need to take this here. This is a different object, right? So we need to click on it, select it. Make sure we get out of this mode, select this one. I'm going to right click and also shade smooth. This way, whatever I do, it will be very clean. So let's see what we got here. So this needs to be gone too. I need to cut this little section right here. All right, so to make things really easy, I'm going to go to the top and just get rid of half of this. So what side am I going to do? That's a great question. I want to do this side here, delete it. So go back here, go to see-through mode, go to edit mode, and we can go in now and just select this whole thing. Now you notice that this is not exactly, half, I guess. So we can just take this for now and delete it. So delete this one. And again, we're going to come back and clean this up anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So this one, this one, this one, these can go, and these can go. Let's delete that for now. Delete the face. And I need to break this up a little bit. Just one little section here, so it's perfectly centered. Okay, and that way when I cut this, it's exactly right. So we got see-through mode. We're going to take this now and just bring it over here like this. Cool. Delete faces. Now, you notice that this has not did what it's supposed to do either, because for some reason it did not cut. And what I can do here is just simply, divide that out again. Let's go undo first. Just like that. I need to kind of go in here and take this one away too, the bottom. So take this bottom away. Let's do this. I'm going to do not see-through, because that's the problem. I'm going to select this one and this one. Now, a good thing to do here is, I would say, is to actually use this. And we can bring this in just a little bit. See how we kind of made those sections work for us? This way it won't be as hard to go backwards. Okay, let's just delete this for now. Again, the reason for that is just so much easier when we do something like that. Now, as you see here, I didn't get this one properly either. So again, let's select this one. And we can go back here and just do this. Get a little closer. We can divide this out. Now, there might be a problem with this because it might have too many points or something, because we're not able to really select it properly. And if that's the case, we could always do this. Just bring it over to the center. All right. There we go. So now we got that all done. Let's go back to the top. Let's go back to see-through. And we got the selection mode here. Let's just do this. Everything's selected. Delete faces. Okay. So now we have a perfectly, centered object. And this is really easy this way now that we've done that, because everything is kind of lining up for us. Now, I do need to add this object into this object so it becomes one. So it's real simple. We could add one more line here or section here to control if we wanted to. Let's see how it comes out. That's what it comes down to. So, okay, let's take the see-through off again. And I need to take this object and that object and combine them. So object mode, select this one, and again, Control J. So it's now one object. So now it's real simple to kind of just connect everything together. So a couple things to keep in mind. So let's go ahead and go to edit mode. We want to make sure that we maintain this edge, whatever we do. And it's really critical that these kind of have a good four-way, connection. So what I'm going to do here is reconnect this. I'm also wanting to, I think it's too far away, so I'm going to bring this up a little closer. I'm also thinking that so what we can do here is just select this whole line, do the Alt key, Shift, Alt, do this again, Alt key, and it has selected everything. Let's go ahead now and extrude this just like this. I'm going to bring this down. And I'm going to go back to the Y here and scale, or G key on the X or Y. And we're going to make sure that just is straight right there. And I'm going to scale it on the Z so it gets closer to this. And I'm going to now take this and click right about here. Reason for that is so I can control this a little bit better. I'm going to also now go to the object mode. I'm going to set origin to 3D cursor. So that way that points here. And I've done that because this way I can scale it inward as well. So let's go back to edit mode. Still got our lines. We're going to scale this now on the Y. Would be good to kind of deselect these ones. Oops, Control Z. Let's just do line. Go back to selection mode. Let's deselect these and these. And I think this too. I'm not worried about these. These are a little bit off. Well, actually, let's just do this. And I'm going to use the G key on the Y just to kind of bring that out. Kind of like that. I'm also going to scale this in. So scale on the Z. Just like that. There we go. So it has a much better, setup here. Okay, so I'm good with that. So we added that extra detail. Now the thing is, we kind of need to go in here on the, I want to bring this up a little bit higher. I'm trying to get this kind of close to the other shape. And again, I redid this, so you might have to adjust this, after the fact. So let's go ahead and do, I'm going to go ahead and go see-through mode. I'm going to go ahead and select the polygons here, just like this. I'm going to deselect. First of all, take this off. Deselect these with the control key. And this too. There we go. Now it's all selected, right? We can go back to the X view. G key is Z. Bring this up a little bit higher. So I'm trying to get this closer to the top of this. Yeah, kind of like that. Cool. Now I can do the same thing on the other side. So see-through. Again, select this. Take the see-through off. Let's deselect all these. Okay, we only have those selected. Again, X, G, Z, and bring it up a little bit higher. We want this edge to be able to get closer to that. All right, so a few things we can do now is we can start controlling this. So let's go ahead and bring this down. And we're going to start using the point selection. So very simple. We're going to take this first one. And first of all, I want to make sure that's in this selection mode, right? If it's not, if I don't use that, let's say I just do this, right? And if I do this, when I go to mesh, merge, it won't give me the option for first or last. It'll just do center. So on this mode, as long as you have it in this mode, you can just click it. If you click it, it makes it a much better option here where you can say, I want to do this to last. So this way it will go. Like I was saying before, we really want to control the corners. So the corners are imperative to make sure that we do this right. So I'm going to make sure these two are also done the same way. So we're going to merge last. Okay. And this is another one right here to here is another very critical point. So merge, mesh, merge to last. So now we got our control. Now you see that we have this section here. This is fine to go over here. So we can do this. Again, mesh, merge to last. And you see how this is starting to come together, right? I'm going to also do this one too. Now, one thing we might want to do is we might want to add one more section, maybe here if we wanted to. We don't have to. Or here. Again, it just depends. Because we've taken away the center, it makes it a little easier. One thing we can do is, I think this will be fine because it's close enough. So let's go ahead and merge those two. So mesh, merge, last, right? And now we have a break here and a break here, right? So another thing we can do is just get rid of this other half. So if we go to the Z, we can now go see through again. We can kind of come in here and just select this whole thing. Make sure it's on polygon mode though, because again, I don't want to select something I don't want to select. So again, this is halfway through, right? And we can delete that. This way everything is half. It's just going to be much easier at the end of this, reconnection. All right. So let's go ahead and test the theory and see how things are looking. So if I take this back into, subdivision mode, and I go back to object mode, and I take this off, I can see how this is coming together. And it's really critical to make sure that it's smooth. So we can go to matcap and see how this is forming. See, this is fine. Yeah, I think that is looking really good. I would probably be putting in a little bit more detail on this edge here when I get closer. So we can see what that would look like. So edit mode, and see how this is kind of losing some of its, edge here. We can make this a sharp edge at the end. So we don't need to do anything with that, especially if you're going to keep it in Blender. If not, we're going to add more detail. Just keep that in mind if you're going to bring it to some other program. So we got two more lines or two more sections that we can work. So, okay, what we can go back to is actually now, we just keep it where it's at if we want and just move it over. And I'm going to go ahead and use this tool again. I'm going to bring one here, just like that. And I'm going to bring one right here. Just add a little bit of, support loops right there. This will really help a lot with controlling this. So see how that really made a big difference. Same with this. This will just be a lot cleaner now that we've done that, because it helps hold everything together. Okay, so again, we can go in here now and add a little bit more. We got that detail. We have that detail and that detail. So I'm probably going to get rid of this one loop here just because it's over too many. So let's go ahead, select the points here, actually here and here. I want to keep the original mesh, merge, last, mesh, merge, last, right? This one, mesh, merge. Now see, if you don't do it right, you can just do this. Again, selecting it like that makes it much easier to make sure that we do it right. Last. Okay. Now we have one section here that we can either add another detail or not. I'm going to take this one away. This is kind of near the curvature though. It might be better to keep it. Let's just see how this is going to look if we take it away. So we can do Alt key, delete, dissolve edge, and now we have a pretty nice form. Again, let's go back to object mode and see what this looks like. Still got the edge here. We have the inner. And again, we can do something with this as well. Yeah, I think part of the problem is we've got too much of a separation now. So we can go back to edit mode and we could add in another, section here, but I'll do that a little bit later. I just think this would be better if we wait. All right, let's just try to go back to the other X side and see how these points are kind of like a little bit off from each other. Let's go and select these and just try to keep them all aligned. So we're going to scale this on the Z, and we're going to bring these upward like this. Then I'm going to hit G, Z, and just bring them up a little bit more just to give it a little bit more space. Okay. I think we need to also do something like this. Go back to the Z top, and we can scale this. Scale. See how that's going way out now? We don't want to do this. Control Z. I want to take this one off. Okay, scale. Just like that. Again, I don't want it to go on the Z. I'll just keep it at 1. There we go. And we'll see how that turns out. Yeah, we're probably going to delete this line and then add a line back just to give it, a little bit better feel to it. And we could do that real easily. But let's go ahead and connect some things. Finish this off real quick, and then we'll go back. It's really imperative that we kind of just think about the whole flow. And all right, let's continue. So again, point, mesh, merge, at last. We need one more control point here. That's why. This can go here. This can go here. So let's add another loop cut here, like that. Okay. We can now take these points. So this one can go here, and this can go here. I'm going to do this one first. So this one, we're going to merge at last, and this one to this one, mesh, merge last. Now there's an issue here. I think we don't have a 4-point polygon, maybe. I think we can just delete this here. Delete, dissolve edge, and there we go. See, it's real simple to go around this stuff. So here, I want to make sure I have this point. This is critical point as well, so keep that in mind. So here, mesh, merge, last. And we would be best off if we could add in a few more control points. So, we could add 3 more sections here. So why don't we try that real quick? I'm going to do this. Okay. And then we can go back to the lines. Because, again, this is not going to be smooth as it should be. First of all, before I do that, I'm going to go to this side here. This is a real easy way to kind of see what you're doing. We can go in here, see-through mode. Again, I'm going to take this off here and make it back into Studio. Like that. Okay. I'm going to take these here, just like that. This one too. Make sure these are polygons. And we can hide these. So hit the H, right? So like seed on the top here. Okay. Then the ones that we just added would be, I think the best thing to do is just taking one line at a time and just move it out a little bit. So we can go back to the Z. And see how this is kind of like where it is. We just hit the G key and just move it a little bit. Kind of like that. This way it's nice and smooth. You can do the same thing here. G key. Just move it out a little bit so it's more rounded. I don't want to scale. Scale really causes a lot of problems sometimes. So G or scale. We'll just do G. Bring it out. See, now it's nice and rounded. There we go. That's a lot better. All right, and we can pretty much get rid of this or add one. I think I'll add one here. So again, we can do this like this. All right. Points. This one to this one. Mesh, merge last. This one, mesh, merge last, and we're going to continue this throughout the whole thing. Mesh, merge last, mesh, merge last, mesh, merge last, and then last one, mesh, merge last. All right. And we have some weird issue going on right here. Has to do with something to do with the way that was created. And I guess because kind of unhide everything and see what that is. Let's just do unhide. So Alt H. And now see what we got. See, that's the reason why. It's because there's nothing else here. So let's just do this, this, and this. We can go through this whole thing now and kind of just cut it. So we can go here, use the knife tool. Let's do this. The best thing to do is take this off like this. Let's just hide this. And we can do a for straight. We can do a C to cut through. And then that's it. Okay, now we've done that. Now, if it didn't do what it's supposed to do, well, kind of messed up a little bit here. Let's take this here and select it. For some reason it went too far over. And again, it didn't do everything like it's supposed to. So go back to Z, and we can move this over. G key. Just like this. This one could be a little bit over. Now I'm thinking about this one. I think we can get rid of this one. Let's just get rid of it. So Alt key, delete, dissolve edge. So I kind of need to add a little bit more detail here. So a good way to do that is kind of just hide or take apart a poly here. So that way, when I do this, it will actually do exactly what I need it to do. So we can delete this real quick, delete face. And now that I've done that, I can kind of just go in here and just use this to help me with this. So see how this is now perfectly in line? There we go. And we can go back in now and just reconnect all this, of course. So I kind of need to make sure that this here, this point is moved down. So let's move this down with G, Z, and we'll bring this down here. This kind of needs to come together. So I'm also going to take this one, G, and we're going to X here, or Y actually, Y. Just move this over a little bit. This could be G, Z, down a little bit more. Now I got this kind of form. We could take this one here, this one, and make sure we get the very end one and do a F key. This can go to this one. Again, mesh, merge, at last. So this is right, but this is wrong. So we got to get rid of this one. So get this out of here. Let's do a delete, dissolve, edge. And I now need to we got a problem here because of this. We almost need to add in, let's just go ahead and bring this point down just a little bit. So G key Z, bring it down. I still want to control this all the way through. I also need to make sure that I have this too. So I'm going to add one more section right here. So let's just do this. See, this is going to be a problem if I don't do something with that. So again, we're going to select this again. Actually, Control Z. Select this again, and I'm going to delete this. Delete face. How do we get this together? So it's real simple. I kind of just need to add another one here and another one there. So let's just do this right here, right? Okay, we got that done. Now, what we can do is we can connect this together right here. We got those two together now. We're going to go to mesh. We're going to merge last. Okay, so we still got a 3-point poly here. So how do we get rid of this? So let's add one more line in the center here. So let's do that right here. And now we got this kind of working for us. All right, and we can now kind of deselect it. Another thing we can do is we can actually bring a line down. So that way it has a way to connect. So let's just do this right here to here. Right click. There we go. And then we can now select these 2 points. Okay, we're going to select this point and this point. And this time I'm going to merge in the center because it's kind of in the center. Cool. And now we can readjust some things. So a real easy way to reconnect all this is just basically taking the whole thing and just kind of deleting this line. So let's do an Alt key, and I'm going to deselect these. I don't want these to be deleted. I want this to be deleted. And I'll take this last one off. So delete, dissolve edge. Okay, cool. So now that I've done this, it's real simple to take these 2 points, this one and this one, and merge them. So we're going to merge these again at the last, just like that. Great. And now we just get rid of this line. So take this line here, delete it, dissolve edge. So now we have a very smooth transition. Again, we can kind of clean this up a little bit. Like for instance, I could take this G key, Z, and just kind of move it down a little bit. Not sure why that's going, but G, Z. All right, let's just see how this is going to look. I'm going to turn this back on. I'm going to go back to the object mode, and there we go. I mean, there is a few things we can do a little bit better, which is in here. I kind of need to fix this. All right, we're going to tidy this up a little bit just to clean it up. A few things we can maybe do a little bit better is get rid of this line. Now that we've got this cleaned up, we can get rid of this. So we're going to go in here again. There's, I think, a lot of detail in here that's kind of competing with each other. So if I go in here, select this one and select this one, we can kind of go in here and just delete this. So delete the line, dissolve edge, and there we go. However, now we got a problem right here again. So we got to keep those things in mind. Another way to help control this, well, this is also a problem because it's not, again, we don't have the 4-point sections again. We really need to have a better, method here. So I think we can just do simply add another line here, bring it down a little bit, bring this down a little bit, just like this. And then we can take these 2 points here. Well, we can take this and delete this. So select it, delete the face. And yeah, so we can go in and kind of just get these now sections here. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, F key, simple as that. Do this one, this one, this one, this one, F. And we can just take this one and move it over a little bit. G on the Y. See what we're doing here. So the real problem here is now we really don't have a 4 section. So we can, again, divide this out a little bit. Right there. And now we got a 4-point poly. So F. So in all reality, I don't really like this. I think it would look a lot better if this was along here. So I'm going to just do that real quickly just by adding this right here. Okay, so what we're going to do now, just simply, I'm going to connect these two together with this. So select it here, select it here. Make sure you get the right one. Hit enter, right? And now we could just take these two together and reconnect them. So it's just an easy way to kind of escape. Control Z. We can now take these two and kind of combine them together. So this way it's done right. So let's just do this. Here we go. And we're going to do a merge. So merge at center. There we go. Now this did not work out right, so that's fine. So let's just do this real quickly. Select the line, delete it, dissolve, or just delete edge, whatever. Doesn't really matter. Now we got to disconnect these two together, so we can simply just do it the way we did before, but if you want to make sure that it's done right, we could just do this point selection. We can do one at a time. Okay, F key, and same thing here. F key, and there we go. Now we got a very smooth form. Yep, and yeah, that's a lot better. We can go back now into see what this looks like. We can go back to object mode. That looks a lot sharper now. Just adding or taking away some things, readjusting a little bit. And again, we can adjust these things as much as we want to fit this in right. Now my section here is smaller than the one I originally did, but it's the same concept, just for information wise. Now let's go ahead and combine everything back together again, very simply. I'm going to take this back off. I do not want to see that right now. I want to make sure that I am in selection object mode, edit mode, and I want to make sure I can see what I'm doing here. So a couple things that we could maybe do a little bit better is take these couple here and just adjust them a little bit. So we're going to actually take the see-through off so we could just kind of just control what we're trying to get here. So let's get these as well. And we're going to move these up with the G key, kind of get them close to the area there. Okay. All right, a couple things we can do here. We could take this point and this point and kind of move it out a little bit. These are kind of inner. So G key, and we'll do this on the Y, just to kind of get this more straight with this. So that way it's kind of consistent with the end. I just think that's going to look a lot better. And then we could take these two here and this one, do the same thing. We can go to the Z and kind of see what we got. And you see that they're a little bit off. So right here, G key. I'm just going to move this out about there. And do this, this, G key, Z, move it out just a little bit. About there. And to see how this looks now. So we can go back to this, go back to this, and all right. So I think this needs to be a little bit more rounded. I kind of lost some of that, I think, when I was pulling things. So I kind of need to take these here, pretty much all these here, this one, and this one. Just move those out a little bit on the Z. So this way it's a little bit more rounded. So Z key, and just bring them out right about there. So just come out a lot nicer. Okay. So let's go ahead and take this back off. And let's connect everything. I'm going to go back to the top view here. Right here on the Z. I'm going to make sure I have see-through mode on. We'll do something like this. Actually, we can go with that. See-through. Move this up a little bit. And the objective here now is go to edit mode, and we can select these points and make sure they're all aligned. So again, select them all. We're going to do a S key on the X, and we're going to bring that in. So everything's nice and tight. There we go. And then we can do G key on the X to make sure that it is back on 0. As long as you're real close, it'll be fine. Okay, so let's now go back to object mode, and we're going to go to hard ops, and we're going to just connect this together again with the mirror. So simple as that, right? We're just going to reconnect it. And yeah, that's simple. We could take this off now. Let's make sure it looks good and everything's connected. Yep. We can now basically apply this. And if you don't have that, you could use a mirror modifier. I'm not going to go over that process, but I normally use hard ops for everything I do. Okay, cool. So now that we've done this, let's take this off and see what we got. And we can, basically, well, let's just go here. We'll go back to bad cap, and there we go. For some reason that's not on. There we go. Yeah, a simple way to kind of do things, there is some things that we can do a little bit better, which is down here. It is out a little bit farther than it is up here. So we can fix that. Let's go back to edit mode and kind of look at this whole thing as a whole. I think we got too many, sections here. That's kind of the problem. This one's a little bit too much, I think. So let's just take that away too. So we're going to take this whole line out and see if that corrects it. All right, so we're going to select this line here with the Alt key and this other section. And we're going to delete this and dissolve edges. And that should help clean this up quite a bit. We still got a lot more work to do here to get this clean. So we could also select that, delete edges, and just try to get this back to a very simple shape or simple edges. All right, let's continue. Okay, let's see how this looks now. Go back to object mode. So something we can do to help, tighten this up a little bit is add a little bit more to this right here. So if we do something like this, that'll make it nice and clean. Okay. And now we could fix this. Now that we've done this, I could just take this line out. So let's go back to here. Alt key, delete, dissolve edge. And again, it's just much cleaner this way. This is not a 4-point poly. That is a problem. We kind of need to make sure that we have something here. So again, we could take this one. Again, now that we've brought this back together again, we kind of have this situation where we got to, delete things when we need to, and kind of just go back in and add in another line. So right there. Here we go. And again, we can go back to point mode now and just connect it back together again. So again, these over here, hit the F key. This one, F key, same thing here. F key. There we go. All right, cool. I'm going to go to the side here and kind of just condense this down a little bit more. So we can do something like this. So we're going to make this section see-through so we can select this properly. And we're going to go ahead now and move these a little bit, this section here. So we're going to hit the G key on the Z, just bring it down a little bit. Try to get a little bit more space there. So we're going to go to edit mode now and select this section here and delete it. So it's a little bit too tight there. So after selecting it, we're going to delete it now and remove it, dissolve edges. So there we go. Okay, cool. All right, so what can we do to kind of help clean this edge up a little bit more? We can go in here and kind of just go to edit mode. We can actually add in something around this whole thing. So now that we've got a good way to kind of control this, we can just do something like this. Just bring it in, and it just forms a really nice tight form there. And that's really it. All right, I think it'd be good to add another one here with a loop cut. So let's go ahead and select the loop cut and select it right in the center just to give a little bit more of a smooth transition between the top and bottom. All right, so I'm going to continue to clean this up by I'm going to delete this actual whole line here. So select both sections here with the actual Alt key, and now we dissolve edge, and that's really the bigger line there that's kind of pushing out. I just want to kind of get a nice clean, section here. I'm going to also go in here and dissolve this edge along this thing as well, and kind of really redo this section right here so it's 4-point polygon. So kind of going through it right now. All right, so now that I detached, I'm going to reattach it so I can have a different, basically, line here so I have better control. So now that I've done that, I'm going to go back in and just select this polygon here and delete it. But first of all, let's go ahead and connect these while we're over here. So select all 4 of these and hit the F key to make it into a poly, and these as well. This way I get a perfectly, 4-point poly sections along this whole thing. And do the same thing on the side. So go ahead and select it, delete it, hit this face. Now let's go ahead and select the points again. Same process as before. So select all 4 of these, F, and then same thing right here. All right, those are selected, hit F. All right, cool. So starting to kind of clean this up. It's starting to look a lot better. Now the best thing would have been to actually had a little bit more of a rounded edge along the top 3 sections of the triangle. That would have been a little bit better control. So just keep that in mind when you're building stuff like this. I probably would have been better off instead of 12, just doing 20 or 24. So I just have a little bit more control. It would have been more, overall polys, but it would have been a much cleaner situation. All right, so I'm going to hit select those points right there and kind of just pull them out a little bit on the side there with the scale and the actual on the X. So S, X, just get it lined up on the edges. And I'm going to select the next points down. So we'll select both of those. Make sure we get the right ones. Got the wrong one there. So let's redo that. Select the one right there. Again, so we're going to hit the scale key on the top here so we can see what we're doing. So S, X, and just bring it right to the edge so you can see it kind of just penetrate through the edge there. And then bring it back in a little bit so it's nice and close to the edge. All right, cool. All right, so make sure it's not scaled on the actual Z. So we want to make sure we can actually dial that in a little bit better. There we go. All right, cool. So continue to kind of just clean this up a little bit. I'm going to fast forward these parts. This is kind of a continual method as I go through it. So in this section, I'm going to select the bottom line here with the Alt key, and I'm going to actually now extrude it out. So we're going to use the extrusion. This one's fine. We're going to pull this down or up, actually down. This way I don't damage the other part. Then I'm going to scale this in. So now I got this actually done. I'm going to scale it with the S and then bring it inward. And then go to the side view here and see what I'm doing. I'm going to make sure I can see through it though. It's an easy way to kind of see what you're doing. And we could actually go ahead and use the G key to move this up. So G key on the Z and just move this straight upward until it goes to like the edge there, about there. All right, cool. And then we're going to just do a simple fill grid. Now that we've got this, we're going to go to face, grill fill, and there we go. And it's actually straight, which if it's not, you can rotate it a little bit with the tools. I'm going to do the same thing on the top here. So select the top section again, Alt key, We're going to, again, extrude it, scale it in kind of. That way we have control of this. And again, we're going to go down to faces. First of all, make sure it's in good position. So G key, move it up a little bit maybe. About there. All right, now we can go to face, grid fill. All right, so last thing to discuss about this actual model here. I did take out the actual creased edge and I added in basically two lines, one above, one on top, to kind of bring it together as a form, to add that extra detail that I needed to make it nice and clean right there. And that really helped a lot with actual, deformation. It just made it so much cleaner. I would do the same thing here. I'll just get rid of this. Personally, it's not working the way I'd like it to work. So when you don't have something that works for you, just get rid of the actual, mean edge or the mean crease, and then get rid of it, and just kind of go in and just, go in and add that extra detail if you needed to, So for instance, right here, I would add in, the other detail loop right here to kind of help bring this closer. I wouldn't go too close. I'd bring it back a little bit. You just gotta be careful when you do this. Control Z, I don't wanna go that deep. So hold on, I would go maybe one here, maybe here, and then one here, just to kind of help, define that space. And I would maybe go up right there. And that way you got a nice tight edge. Again, if you go back to object mode, you got a nice clean edge. And it will look nice once you do the actual rendering. But that's just a couple different ways you can make this happen. All right, let's go back to the part of the video. So let's go back now to this other model, and we're going to bring it in and see how it looks. So we got the bottom and we got the top. All right. So one thing we'll notice is that right off the bat is that this is not exactly lining up like it should. We can kind of scale it in a little bit. So we hit the S key just to kind of bring it in, right? And that kind of did a good job there, but I kind of want to make it smaller. So I'm going to bring it here. I'm going to use the actual side here, G key on the Z, and bring it down. I'm going to bring it G key on the Y. And see, right here is where I want it to actually hit. And it's inside the space. So that's critical. And now that we've done that, we can simply go in here and edit model. And since we're on this model, it's real easy to kind of, just select the top section by making, again, transparent. And we can go here. We can do something like this, right? I can make sure that this is polys. We go back to the side view, Control Z. And we can do G key on the Z and just bring it straight up. You see it's kind of misaligned. And we can fix that by just kind of, I would say we can go back and just hit the points and get rid of these central ones. So let's just do this. Just keeping the other ones. I think I might actually just keep all these. So let's just do that again. I think it needs to be done. So we're going to go to G key, Z key, and just bring it down to about here. Control Z. I'm going to take these off now with the Control key. These are lining up. G key, Z key, and then bring these down. We can deselect those. G key, Z key, and then bring these down. And you see what we're doing here, just kind of getting this back in line. We can also take these two as well. And just hit the G key on the Z key and bring it back up a little bit. Okay, let's see how this looks now in the space. And yeah, I think overall it's coming along. I'm going to take this back off. I'm going to go back to object mode. And you'll see that we now have a nice cylinder in the space. Now, one thing you're going to notice too is I need to bring this back a little bit more because it's a little bit off on the top. want to make sure that this is very inclusive into the area. So we're going to do G, X, Y, just bring it back just a little bit more. And it's okay to show that edge because it looks like it belongs in there. And I'm okay with that. So, okay, there we go. So this will be glass. This will be a tube inside, some type of, cylinder or something. So it's going to look kind of sharp in there, something different. All right, let's continue. Again, this is what I normally do is I create something that I really like, and then I go back and kind of just modify things. So we're going to start off with just selecting the polygons in here, kind of like this. And again, more of these, more of these. I'm also going to take this off so I don't have to, try to see what around this. And this is a good way to kind of just get things, going. I want to make sure that whole thing is completely, selected. Go here as well. Now, you could have maybe gone one less, but that's okay. We're just going to do this real simply like this, just to get this thing, in the right direction. I want to get to the edge here, even though there is more than that. So this is, first of all, I'll do this. Now that we got this kind of, picked up, so we're going to do Control plus and Control plus again. And we're going to do this a couple more times. Control plus, oops. Actually, Control Z. I hit the wrong key, Control plus. Okay, so you see these are actually not the ones that I actually had too many here. So I'm going to deselect these. So this way it's back in line. Control plus, continue. Now I'm going to go over here and see what I'm doing because I want to make sure I get all the way into the space, kind of like in the bottom of this. So Control again, plus, right there. That is the end of the whole thing. Now I don't know if I necessarily need those inner pieces like this, but I'm thinking about Control Z 2 times. So that way this piece stays. Well, one more time. Control plus. There we go. So we got this all selected. I'm going to go now into Mesh, and I'm going to separate out selection. That's simple. And then I'm going to go back in here, select this piece, and I'm going to actually take this one here and hide it. We're going to have to work this out now because we do not have a good form in here. And that's the issue because we've actually gone in and kind of, remodified this. So let's go in and select this object, get it selected. We're going to go to edit mode. I'm going to select this edge here with the edge selection, right? I'm going to select here. Let's just do this. 1, Shift, 2. And then we could also do the Alt key. And it selects everything around. Okay, so now we've got this done. Let's go to the side view here. And we're going to expand this by extruding it. So extrude it down, just like this. And there we go. Now that we've gotten this, we can go in and select the edge. And we're going to use the actual face, actually. Select face, grid fill, control, and there we go. And that's got that control, but I'm not liking this. I kind of want to do this again. So I've got this one time. I'm going to do it one more time. And this time on the Z, I'm going to scale this piece in to kind of just bring it the other way. You can't go too much. The problem is if you can't see what you're doing, it's not good. So we can kind of see here that I've kind of brought it in, right? And we can go back to the side view here. I can use the G key now and just kind of, just move it into the center of the space just like that. There we go. And now we can use the actual edge here, face actually. Just go to grid fill, control, and there we go. So now we've gotten this. We have our own object. And let's see how this works. So if I go back to object mode and we got this object, we could take this off as well. I could put this back on in object mode. It looks really nice. And it just looks really sharp. So the idea is now that we've done this, we could now go here and it kind of has its own, coloration. I'm going to go here, change this as well to sub D. I'm going to go to the subdivision. We're going to basically make sure that's off. I'm going to go to edit mode. All right. So let's have this selection going. We can do a period to get closer. All right, so now we got this kind of selected. We're going to go in and kind of just select all these, select all these, select all these. I'm going to control key these. So this way I got exactly, that area. And I can go in here just kind of, I'm going to hit the actual control plus key to kind of just expand this a little bit. Let's see if that goes up one more. Yeah, there we go. So I got that little edge there. We can go to the side here and we can go see-through mode so you can see what we're doing. We're going to do the G key on the Y, actually on the Z. I don't know why it was on the wrong axis. G key on the X, G key on the Y. G key on the Y. We're going to move it over just a smidgen. Kind of like this. I'm also going to use the R key right here and kind of just move it in like this. G key, Z key. There we go. And that gives a little bit more interest. I think, though, I have a little problem with the way this is going. So let's undo this. I kind of want to go back to the side. I do want to rotate this R, kind of like upward, but not to the point where I kind of overdo this little piece right here. It has to have some separation there. We could also go to the top view and we can do S key. We can kind of move it inward a little bit, just like that. This gives it a little bit more of a spread. Okay, so now we've done this. We're going to put this back on. I just want to see how this is looking. So go back to here. And we can even go back to here. And we can go to here. There we go. Yeah, that looks way sharper in my opinion. I like the design. I like the way it's tighter on this end and looser on this end. And that's a good start. So let's continue. We got 25 sides. And a good way to do this is just go in here and delete this stuff. So let's go in here, get rid of this stuff. The reason I'm doing this is because I'm going to make sure that I come back in and use something exact amount. All right, so we're going to go ahead and delete this right now. Delete faces. All right. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Another 7 is 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26 sections. So we're going to start off with a disk with the same amount of sections. So we're going to go here to add cylinder. Go to the top here, or top. And we're going to zoom out and see we got it here. We're going to do with 26 sections. We can change this quite a bit. We can change this. We can bring this up just like that. All right. So we kind of got our form coming in. So I'm going to bring this radius up just a little bit, not too much. I don't want it to go past the edges as well as the bottom. So I'm going to go with the Z here. And we can move it a little bit on the actual Y. Just like right about more. Just trying to dial this in. Just like that. There we go. Perfect. Okay, so we got this kind of worked out. We can go to the side view, and there we go. All right, so a couple things we can do here is we can actually go in and go through the see-through mode. I could use a actual knife tool. I can go from the angle to angle just like it is. We can do a C key, click on it, hit enter. Do the same thing here. I'm going to go a little bit above though, like right about there. C key. All right, so we've done that. So we can now go in. We got see-through view, so we can go around like this to delete that section. Delete faces. We can go here. Actually, we're going to go around this whole thing and delete faces. Okay, so there we go. So let's go ahead and select the object. I'm going to go to right click, shade smooth. I'm going to go to the side, and I'm going to, go to the side and bring this up. All right, we got it connected for some reason. So select, linked, just like that. Go to the side. We can do G key on the Z, bring it straight up, and we can do something like this. Do that. Let's just go back to this Z and kind of scale this down. Just actually, I want to make sure I select the right thing here. I'm going to select this object, this one, or this edit here. We're going to select linked. And once we have that selected, it's real easy now to go in and kind of just modify this. So I'm going to scale this down a little bit, kind of like that. I'm also going to hit the G key on the Z. So let's go ahead now and reselect it. So one here, one here. We're going to select the loop. Select edge loop. And we're going to select this one, select edge loop. And again, the same thing we're going to do here. Edge, bridge edge, there we go. All right, so we got this covered, and we're going to now go in and just use the actual Control R again. Over here, well, Control Z, Control R, and I'm going to bring this kind of close to the end here, like that. So it kind of holds, it actually holds the edge. Another thing we can do is, since we already got the actual disk on top, we can go in and kind of modify this to make it work for us. So we're going to go to the side view, and I'm going to go to the see-through mode, and again select the points here. I'm going to go all the way around just like this. Make sure I get them all, and it went through. So that's great. So G key, Z key, straight down into the space. Now that we've done this, you see it's kind of in. I need to go a little farther down though. G key, Z key, straight down past the point, and see how we're actually now going in. Now, what great thing about this is that we actually have the second line here to help hold it in place. And then we can also now, one more time, we can extend this down. So again, we can extrude. So we can do something like this. And yeah, that makes it really simple. And one great thing about doing this is that we have a way to now put our disk in. Let's see here, we're going to go in and also do this again. And that we got this done, I'm going to hit the actual control, face, grid fill, and we kind of got this set up now. I am going to rotate this a little bit. Kind of hard to see. And again, I don't really need that much detail here. So I'm going to Control Z this. I'm going to go ahead and extend this down one more time. So let's do this one more time, like this. And we can go to the top view. And this is a really good way to do this, is just kind of scale this in like this. Go a little bit less maybe. So we have a nice firm line on the edge. We don't want to go too far or too less. So bring it back right about there. And again, we can extend it again. So let's do this and scale like that. Cool. And another thing that we can do is kind of most likely going to get rid of this line here, but we can also now do what we were doing before. We can do Control, face, grid fill, and there we go. The only thing that I would suggest is that we could always add some more detail here or take away some. So let's go ahead and now go back here and we go back to the object mode and see what that looks like. Yeah, that looks really sharp. It's very clean. I don't want to see through this, of course. But yeah, it's a nice, circle. It works. There is some, maybe a little bit of line here, but it's still smooth. I think it will work fine. This is a little pinch in here, but you're not going to see this because we're going to be creating another disk within the space that is going to be coming out of this space to make it have some characteristics. And the idea here is to create another disk. So let's go to object mode, add. We are going to go ahead and select mesh cylinder. And I'm also going to kind of just bring this down to like 24. I want this to kind of line up perfectly. So we're going to go one more. Okay. We could also bring this over a little bit. So let's go ahead and bring this on the X, move upward a little bit. You can also scale this down. So let's bring this radius down. So something like this. Okay, cool. Now, you'll see that it is pretty tall. I'm going to bring this depth down just a little bit. It's actually here. So we're going to bring that down. Bring this up on the Z, just like this. And again, the idea here is to take this one now and just delete it. I don't need this. I need this one. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and modify this a little bit to make it look interesting. So one thing I would suggest that we first do is we're going to create the actual part of it like a nice form. So I'm going to use the actual section here to kind of bring this in, right? We want to make sure we get right down the center. I'm also going to use the G key here on the Z. All right, so we've done this. We're going to now inset this a little bit again, so we can get a little bit more of a control section here. And I'm going to do this again, one more time. So I can have some areas to kind of fall back into. I would also like to add in a little bit of edge here. So we're going to go ahead and select this area here. And we're going to do the actual Control R again. We're going to bring this over here and kind of just bring this into place like that. And we'll drop it right there. Left click. And again, we're going to go here, do the same thing. Now, we can do is add, a little bit more of a detail here. So let's just do this with the face tool. Again, Control R. I just want to bring something a little bit closer to the edge here. Actually, let's just do this, Control R. Bring this up to about here. Up there. Okay. So we can now go in and just go to the top view. I kind of want to make sure that, I kind of take maybe 2 sections at a time and kind of move those inward. So let's go back to the top view. I want to make sure we do something like this. So let's go ahead and select the faces. This one, this one, and this one. Okay. And I think I might even go with this one as well, because I want to kind of just take away that edge to make it look nice. So again, all the way down, all the way down, all the way down. We're just going to go around the whole thing and kind of just add what we need. I'm going to go every 2, just like we did here. Every 2, every 2. Okay, cool. So we're going to go now and basically inset this with the simple inset. And we're going to zoom in a little bit and kind of just pull this in a little bit. I just want to get that nice edge in here. All right. And now we can go in and select this, and we're going to extrude it along normals. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this in now, just a little bit. The first step is just a little bit to help make the control point. Do it again, and you can go farther in. All right, so that's cool. Something else we can do is we can add in more detail if we need to here. I kind of like this way this looks. And we can now go back in here, select this one, and we can move this one in, right? So that looks cool. I'm going to go right here. I'm going to do it again so I get my control point. So I'm going to now inset this section right here. So we're going to inset this and bring it inward just to give it a little bit more control there. Cool. And again, I'm going to go ahead and do a G key, Z key to give it a nice leading edge there. We're going to shrink this in one more time. Right there, kind of close to the edge. And we can select it again. Again, inset. And now that we've done this, we can go in here on the face and grid fill with the control key. And there we go. So if I go back to the top view here, I want this to be straight up and down. So we can rotate this around. So let's just rotate it. I kind of want to go the opposite way. I'm going to bring this up. I think we'll go with like 11 or so, maybe 10. I just want to make sure that I kind of bring this rotation around. All right, we're going to go back to here. And I think I'm good with that for now. All right. So we got some work here. Let's see what we can do with this now. If I go in here and add in the modifier, but first of all, we're going to go to object mode. I'm going to select it. I'm going to right click, shade smooth. Also go here and add this, generate subdivision surface. And again, I'm going to go with 2. And I think that looks really cool. I think what I would do also is add a little bit of detail here. This is definitely not right. So we can go in now and just select the object, edit mode. We can go in here and do, again, same thing as we did before. Bring this in just a smidgen. And again, and this time I'm going to do a control, face, grid fill. And I'm okay with this the way it is. So now if I go back into the actual object mode, we can see it looks kind of cool. It's different. We can also do some other things here. So this would be kind of different if we just add some more detail. So I'm going to go in here and kind of just add these two together. Let's do this again. And I'm going to go in and Control R. And we're going to go right down the middle of this. I'm going to reduce this down to 1. Pull it over here. All right. We're going to go back to Polygon. Control R. Right down the middle. A little bit to the side here. Just like that. All right, cool. Now we can go in and just real simply select these two. Select the Alt key. And there we go. Now, again, I can go in here, just use this. We can go in and just barely move it, like right here. Again, and again. And that looks really cool. I also want to do something like Control R here. Just want to get in there. So let me escape. Go back to selection mode. I'm going to go here and rotate it. I'm going to hit this area here. Control R. I want to make sure I hit this with 1. And I can do loop. So select loop. Edge loops. And we can do a scale. All right. Another thing we can do here is we can add a little bit of detail to this. I kind of want to just do these two here. Select loop, edge loops, and I'm going to shrink this down a little bit. So I'm going to scale this down. I'm also going to go in here, select the faces. Let's go back to edit mode. We can turn this off for a minute so I can see what's going on here. See, this is fine. I think I need to add just a little bit here. So Control R, bring this down here. We can go here. Same thing. Control R, bring this up. Okay. I think, yeah, that looks really cool. We can now go in and kind of just, what I think would be kind of cool is just kind of shrinking this down a little bit more. I feel like it would have some beneficial, look to this. So I'm going to go ahead and Control plus key to add more of these sections in, just like that. And then I'm going to hit the S key and kind of just scale it in. Don't want to go too much. I think I might just take this line out and see how this looks. So a good way to do this is to kind of let's just do this. We can delete this and see how this looks. Delete, dissolve edge, and there we go. So now let's go ahead. I'm thinking that I kind of want to make this a little bit less wide. So let's do this, Control plus, all the way up to here. And then we can scale this down. Go out kind of crazy here. Let's Go the opposite way. Okay, scale just a little bit. And then we can do a G key, Z key, a little bit more up. I'm actually good with this. I'm also going to do this. Control R. Bring this in. You know, another thing we can do, instead of using so much of this, we just delete this, delete the edge, dissolve edge. I can select this one now. Edge crease and pull it. Just like that. There we go. And we have a nice form that way. All right, cool. So let's see what this looks like now. Go back to object mode. Object mode. There we go. That is looking really nice. All right, for the rest of this, I'm going to do a time lapse at the end here, just to make these other shapes to add to this. And not do any textures, of course, but thank you for joining me. If you like this type of stuff, please subscribe and thumbs up would be appreciated. All right, have a great rest of your day. Thanks.